Good afternoon, everybody. If you're watching on the replay, it might be good morning, so I'll say that too. Thank you so much for joining us on how to build your business through customer advocacy. My name is Emma Goode. I'm the founder of digital marketing agency 24 Fingers. We help people all over the world add extra digits to their bottom line. And I'm so pleased to introduce my guest speaker today, Yats Slezak. I hope I've said that correctly. Yats is the partnership manager at FIFO, which is one of the world's, if not the world's, leading review platform. So I can't wait to hear Yats's wisdom on how to get reviews easily, quickly, without the cringe factor. I work with lots of entrepreneurs and they all tell me, I ask for reviews, but they just don't arrive, or I'm not quite sure what to say when I'm asking for a review. It feels awkward. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Yats's words of wisdom. So I'm going to take myself off spotlight. I'm going to hand over to Yats for his introduction. As always, with all of my guest talks, really informal. Please feel free to pop any questions you'd like into chat. I will be sending out the slides after, so there'll be lots of opportunity to ask specific questions about your specific business after. But if you've got something that you want to ask, feel free. No question is a silly one. And if you want to know, then I'm sure the person to the left of you on Zoom also wants to know. So take it away, Yat.
Amazing. Thanks, Emma. So yeah, I'm Yats Slezak. I head up the partnerships team here at FIFO. If you don't know FIFO, we're a leading reviews company. There's many reviews companies out there. They all have their specific nuances and differences, and actually they're not the same. So I would kind of touch on that in. I head up the partnerships team. So we partner with all kinds of partners, agencies. We work with things like trade associations if you're a services business. We work with marketplaces. We work with other technology providers, always really trying to solve problems for our mutual customers. So whether that is something like working with an agency around, they may be helping their client with SEO or conversion, I can come in, I can help and talk about that piece of the puzzle. How does reviews help with SEO? How does it help with conversion? If it's an e-commerce business and they want some integration between different platforms, I'm there. I can look at what that integration might be and work with the different product teams to help build that. So quite a varied role. I've been at FIFA for 4 years. I've been in the technology world for about 20 years now, mostly from the frame of kind of data and process. So I'm not really an e-commerce guy as such, but I've always looked at things through the lens of data, insights, how I suppose a bit like an e-commerce person, they're always looking at, 100 of these turn into 50 of these, turn into 20 of these, turn into so many sales. And, it's not a million miles away from the way I would look at data and process to try and optimize. So similar in that respect. But yeah, I've been here at FIFA for 4 years. I run the partnerships team here. So working with great partners like Emma's business.
Thank you, Yats. And I think it's so important, isn't it, to have a review.
Today,
So important to have a review strategy. I think it's something that is continuing to grow and grow and grow. 5 years ago, you didn't even think about reviews, whereas now, as I'm sure you're going to tell us, people are buying on what other people are telling them on social media. I want to rewind 10 years ago in my business and go back to all my old clients and go, give me a review 10 years ago. And I wish I'd had that incorporated at the beginning of my business. It's something that you can't ignore nowadays. And the companies and the brands that are embracing social proof and reviews, I think will win out. But as I say, I'm sure you're going to be telling us all of this. So I'm going to shut up. I'm in the co-working space today, and you think that the internet should be super, super, super quick, and it's not. So I'm going to turn myself on mute, and I'll chip in where.
all right, let me share my screen. I've got just a few slides to show, really. But please do jump in with any questions. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. I'm actually not used to Zoom, so hopefully it goes okay.
I think you're either a Teams person or a Zoom person. Whenever I get on Teams, it just breaks my machine. So I am 100% a Zoom aficionado, and I should have left them a review, and I will, I promise.
I heard a rumor that Zoom adds a filter that makes everybody look nice, which is why everybody wants to buy Zoom. So I don't know if it's true. So three kind of things I wanted to go through today are, one is something called the value exchange, which is a bit of a guiding principle for FIFO, and I'll go into why that is as well. The second is around the importance of keeping the buyer journey. So once you've put so much effort into starting a buyer journey and starting to get somebody into your sales funnel, what's the importance of keeping that and losing that? And the third is just we're not worrying about being perfect. So one of the questions at the start there was about asking for reviews and feeling awkward asking for reviews. One of the big things I would say is don't worry about being perfect. Just get started and start collecting feedback, and you'll be amazed at what comes back and the goodwill that comes back towards you. So if you don't know FIFO, I kind of touched at the start saying about the reviews companies aren't all quite the same. Obviously there is some overlap, but they do have their unique capabilities and focus. Just in a nutshell, FIFO are 100% verified reviews. So we only focus on invited reviews. So we're not a comparison site. We're not an open platform. We are able to trace back every single review to a genuine customer. So that's the model that we have. So it's almost like a marketing platform fueled by the reviews, which is around getting attention onto your site, keeping it there so it converts, and then getting the insights that come from those reviews. So we can sit quite happily alongside other reviews providers, and well over 1,000 of our customers will use another reviews provider as well, because on the face of it, it's two reviews companies, but they're actually doing different jobs. So happy to kind of go into that in more detail as well. So one of the key things I want to talk about was the value exchange. So the value exchange is not a new idea. It's something that's been used for a while, for example, in the advertising industry. But it's that whole idea of, if you're offering something to the customer, what do they feel like they get in return? So this can apply to many areas of the business, but it certainly does apply to reviews. So why would somebody want to share their opinion back to you as a business? What's their frame of mind? Yes, you might have provided excellent service or an excellent product, and they want to recognize that with you. But why do they want to do that? You've already formed a relationship with that customer now, and they want you to win as a business. So it's something that you can nurture. Conversely, if somebody is going to give negative feedback, why would they want to do that? It's very rare that you'd get a customer who actually wants to kind of rant at you. It's much more likely, if they're giving feedback, that they actually want you to win as a business, and they're giving you constructive feedback and giving you a chance to respond to them and put it right. And so within FIFO, we're always trying to look at what are the ways that we can make use of these interactions and relationships between these different types of customers and the feelings that they've got. So if it's a very positive response, we want to be able to maximize on that. We want to be able to understand the themes that are coming up from the positive responses, because that might form our next marketing campaign. If it's somebody who is they're mostly positive, but they've got a couple of criticisms, then again, it gives you a chance to learn from that. You've got a chance to put it right, and you can even go back to them and get them to try and re-rate the score. So it's creating that constant feedback loop where you can improve as a business, but you're also getting positive comments back that you can use to promote your business, but also ideas to using within your marketing. And so the way we set the platform up is very much that you can help to foster this. So it could be things like replying to reviews, which is extremely important, not just to make the customer feel good, but for things like Google as well. Google recognizes that a site is active if you're responding to customers. But it's that whole piece about being transparent. And that's one of the things that people value most in this day and age is businesses who are come across as trustworthy and transparent. If you think about businesses that you keep going back to time and time again, for the most part, they probably didn't do everything perfectly all of the time, but you will have got a sense then that they actually had your best interests in mind and wanted you to be a happy customer, and would try and put things right if they didn't go right. And so that's the kind of communication that we put out there, is about being transparent, relatable, and a brand that people can engage with. Anything you'd want to say on that, Emma?
I think it's the same as when people say, oh, I don't want to be on social in case I get trolled. As you say, the likelihood is slimmer than we think, but we're worried, aren't we? Especially as solopreneurs, our business is our life, it's our world, and it's really hard to put ourselves open for potential criticism. So I absolutely get it. I haven't had that yet. We're all 5 stars, amazing. But I do really empathise with that position, and it's really good and reassuring to hear that it happens less than we think, particularly.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and it's one of the things that we have that gets mentioned to us when somebody gets in touch with us for the first time is I'm a small business. I don't have this huge brand yet, which is rock solid, because I've got thousands of customers, and a negative comment could be really bad for us. And what I would say is that it's very, very rare, if not never, that when a business opens up to feedback, that they start to get back really harmful negative responses, particularly through something like FIFO, because it's all invited. It's not just an open forum for people to just go and post things, so you don't get fake reviews, and the feedback is considered because you've asked for it, and you can choose how you ask for that feedback as well.
I think that's a really good point. Yes, because I've got clients that are on different review platforms, and where you, as you say, you invite verified, trusted reviews, very different than opening yourself up to something like TripAdvisor, where Mr. Angry of Essex has had a bad burger and suddenly goes on TripAdvisor and really slates the company. I've had restaurant clients where that's happened, and we've always kind of gone back and appealed that review. But that's like A, hurtful, and B, factually incorrect. So I like what you've said about, it's verified, it's not just willy-nilly.
Yeah, 100%. And we've had the same thing where somebody's had a negative review on another platform, and there's a name against the negative review, and they'd look on their books, and they've never had a customer with that name, and the review platform won't take it down. One thing I'd say that we offer is you can actually start to collect feedback privately, so you don't have to be a public facing from day one. You're very much in control of that, and so you can actually ask for private feedback initially, just so you can see what's the level of feeling out there, what kind of things am I going to get back, and then once you're happy, you can flip that to be public. So there's ways to dip your toe in the water before you fully commit to it.
I like that idea. It's kind of testing the water, and that gives a small business a bit of safety net. I like that.
Yeah, and certain industries have been very open to feedback for a long time. So something like e-commerce, travel, they've been asking for feedback for a long time. But other businesses are starting to look at it and catch up more seriously now. So even areas like the legal industry, which previously didn't want to collect feedback much because they were worried about what kind of things might people put out there about cases they were working on, or things like the medical industry, because they didn't want people making claims about the medicine, for example, that might not be legitimate, and so they're a bit more reticent to ask for feedback. But even they now are starting to understand that on balance, the pros heavily outweigh the cons, and there's different ways that you can kind of mitigate those issues of people leaving feedback. And something that FIFO will always look at is if a review is irrelevant, if it contains any kind of private information, plus many other criteria, they would be willing to take that down.
Can I just jump in there on the medical stuff? And I agree, there's different um, nuances per sector. But I'll give you an example. I'll give everybody an example. So I had to go and buy some medicine recently, and the first thing I did was I went onto Reddit. I don't know if anybody uses Reddit, but it's like crack. You get lost in Reddit. Not that I would know what crack was like, but you can just get lost for days in Reddit. I absolutely love it. But anyway, um, first thing I did is I went onto the community and I checked the reviews and the best pharmacy to get this thing from. And it was so clear to me that there's good people and there's bad people. And then I went onto the review platforms and I checked them out. And then I had a problem at the weekend. So I immediately went back onto Reddit and there was, I would say, at least three people in 1 week complaining about a particular problem with raw mail. And that is just so damaging. And I want to phone up the company and say, get onto Reddit, see what your sentiment analysis is, and then do something about it. And obviously, they haven't got a review strategy in place. It's really clear if they did, they'd be combating that negative sentiment with we're here to help, we'll fix the problem, and all that good stuff. And it was completely missing. So they've just lost three customers minimum.
Yeah, that's right. It's something I'll touch on as well. It's there's the whole reputation piece that comes from reviews, but there's also the whole piece around useful information that the reviews can provide to people, and you want the recommendations and the positive reviews to be genuine, but you also want any information that the reviews are providing to be useful and genuine as well. All right, so what are some of the things that would make a customer feel valued? So why would they want to engage with your brand and want to provide feedback? Well, there's many reasons, but being closer to them is really important. That building a connection with the customer, and this is an area that a small business can really compete with a bigger business on, is that personal touch. So reviews would just form one part of this. Your whole kind of marketing strategy would incorporate much of this as well. The tone of voice, the way you communicate with them, but certainly asking for their feedback and showing that it's valued, and that you would act on that feedback as well, makes it much more likely that somebody would want to offer it, and not just once as well, would want to offer it in the future. So when you look at some of the things that people talk about when they leave reviews, I mean, we collect millions of reviews, but there are very many common themes and trends that come out of that data. But some of the key overriding ones are that piece around transparency and trust and what was offered and what was the customer expectation from the product or service, and then what was the reality of it. Those things just keep coming up time and time again. And so reviews can really help with that, because it's opening up your business, it's showing what other people think, it's showing that you are open to receiving negative feedback, and how you can publicly respond to that goes a long way to helping people see who you are as a business and get a feel for your style of business and the brand. All right. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was keeping your customers within your ecosystem. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you look at your buyer journey, all of those different touch points in the buyer journey, at which points will you lose them? So this is a much wider discussion as really around conversion and digital marketing in general. But reviews can play into so many different parts of that. And so I would encourage anybody to go and look at your digital buying journey with a fresh pair of eyes and think, what would somebody who didn't know my business be thinking at all of these different touch points? So from the search, from search, how would people start to be thinking about trust and what kind of a business you would be right from those kind of early stages, top of funnel? When somebody lands on your homepage, what are the trust signals that they start to see? I think if you're in your business the whole time, sometimes it can be hard to kind of think, somebody seeing it for the first time, how would they differentiate me from another business? What are some of the key things that they would be thinking about? and what might cause somebody to lose confidence quickly and they might bounce off the site. I might never get that piece of traffic back. I heard a stat that somebody with a mobile phone app, they make the decision about whether they're going to continue using it in 9 seconds, and if they abandon the app, they never come back to it, or very, very rarely come back to it. So, with that in mind, if when somebody sees your website for the first time, what are they thinking about? How are they making your how is the familiarity of your business building from what they can see? When they're browsing around your website, what can they find? What kind of information? Obviously, you're going to put information about your products and services, but how can that be supplemented with other things that your customers are saying? So reviews can play a big part in that. People will raise points and questions that other people will be looking for. And so, it's very time consuming and can be expensive to be putting copy on your website. So what if customers were doing that for you, and it would automatically be updating? You don't have to worry about what's relevant because they're telling you what's relevant and putting it out there for you. And if you're responding to those reviews as well, it's again showing that trust, but it's also giving additional information about how you might handle certain challenges or how you use the product or whatever it might be. So it's really going to help people to aid their evaluation about, is this going to be the right thing for me? And that can show up in many different ways as well. So we find that reviews, and we had one of our clients who's an electronics brand. Through reviews, they actually managed to reduce the returns that they were given because people stopped buying the wrong thing. And it's actually the reviews that helped people to understand, actually, I don't need product A, I need product B. Protecting your traffic. Oh, you go for it, yeah.
In terms of product education, you just sparked something in my mind there that YouTube videos with testimonials and social proof embedded might be a really good thing to do for product-based business.
100%. That's a great point, and it's really growing as well. So it's something that we do. We can collect video reviews, but side by side with instructional videos is absolutely perfect, because really you got to think, if somebody's assessing your business and what you're offering, they're going through a kind of series of questions in their mind. Does it do this? Does it do this? Is it right for me? How could I get started with it? What are some of the things the pitfalls I need to think about? So in a way, you've got to kind of knock down these different objections and make it very easy and accessible for them to find that. So things like an instructional video is a very simple way to do that. And for some people, that will be the way that they consume that information and be much more relevant for them. Some people like to read things. Some people are much more visual and much prefer a video. So if you can combine these things, it's going to make it much more powerful. But one of the key things is not to then make the customer feel that they need to go somewhere else to validate the things that they're seeing on your website. And so this is a huge thing about FIFO, is we don't link off to other sites. And so, like I say, we're not a comparison site. So a lot of the time with reviews companies, when you click to go and view all the reviews, it'll take you off the site to another site, which is very often like a comparison site. And then you'll see your rival brands there, and you might lose that customer journey and not get it back. And particularly if you paid for your £3 to Google for the PPC, you might actually be paying to drive people to your competitors. And so just be really careful about that. That's one thing that FIFO thinks is important, is just don't link off anywhere else. Keep that customer journey within your site and provide the customer with everything they want to see, everything they're looking for, so they don't feel they need to go and verify it anywhere else. Which is one of the things why I say, don't be scared if there's anything less than a 4 or 5 star in your reviews. In most cases, it's actually going to be working in your favor, because if you think about next time you go looking for something, just kind of consciously think through the process that you go through when you're evaluating the product. So you'll go onto the site, and if you don't know the site, you'll be looking for trust signals to think, is this a legitimate business? Is this somebody I want to buy from? As you go deeper into the website, into the kind of specific products or services, you're going to be looking for more detailed information around it. And then you're going to be looking for those trust signals like reviews. And if it's all just positive, you might actually think, oh, well, I better go onto Google and kind of Google this business and look for reviews. And if that takes you that customer journey somewhere else, you might not get them back. So if that's your business and people are going onto your website and thinking, well, actually, I need to go and do some extra research to see who this business is, you might not get them back. And so with FIFO, the idea is everything's there, it's transparent, people feeling they're getting the information they need, they're getting the reassurance they need to go ahead and convert.
Yes, I know we'll come on to this, but just before I forget, we've got a great question which might tie in to where we are right now. What to do when you can't get reviews? People don't, to your point, return loads of products. We know that there isn't a product issue, there is just a silence issue. So if we can cover that at some point, that would be amazing.
Oh well, let's talk about it now. So how, if you're struggling to get reviews, how can you get more reviews? I suppose the question would be, what method of asking for reviews have you tried? Is it a review platform? Is it are you asking for kind of a kind of comment on an email? It really depends a little bit. And so I would recommend that you follow best practices. So there's certain ways to ask for things which should make it more specific and improve the likelihood somebody will respond, and also the quality of the response. So with FIFO, we kind of A/B test with millions and millions of review invitations. So we've tried all different ways of asking for things. We've tried different layouts on the invitation emails, different styles of form. And so they've kind of maximized the best response rates for that. But there are some overlying things which you can benefit from, which are just keep it simple is one of the main things. That keep that value exchange in mind is very important. Make it obvious that you really appreciate any feedback that they give, that you want to act on feedback that people give, and keep the questionnaire as simple as possible. If it's kind of, sometimes you get these questionnaires and once they've got you, they kind of think, well, I want to keep going and get as much information from you as possible whilst you're there. But the problem with that is it's much more likely that somebody will abandon that. So keep it simple. Let people know that you really care about their feedback and want to act on it, and you should get a high response rate. Now, bear in mind, some of the biggest brands out there only get a response rate of 2 or 3%. So if you're not getting a huge response, you could be in a similar boat to many other businesses. It really does depend on the type of industry you're in. So more considered purchases tend to get a much higher response rate. So when somebody buys a car, for example, we do quite a bit of work in the auto industry. There's a very high chance that they'll respond. It could be anywhere kind of 30, 40%, which is although not 80, 90%, is pretty high for a response rate. But in something like retail, it's quite common to only get somewhere between 3 to 8%. So if you're not getting that many reviews back, that's quite normal in a lot of cases. But the best thing to do is to ask everybody. And remember, you can also ask at more touch points than just when somebody buys for the first time. If somebody renews something, if somebody gets in touch with you for a customer service question, you can also ask for feedback at all these different points.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So you said about questionnaires. So is that sort of the usual thing? Is one, rather than can you give me a review, is it a good idea to ask specific questions? And also, what are your thoughts on almost kind of giving them a template? Because I think sometimes people freak out about what they're going to write for a review. And I've heard it suggested, and I'm interested in what your thoughts are, to kind of say, or you could talk about and kind of almost tell them what to write without telling them what to write exactly. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a tricky one because you don't want to lead them with the questioning.
No.
You won't get as authentic responses, and the chance to really kind of learn what people think is going to be diminished if you kind of lead them with the question.
Yeah.
But you can, you want to keep it separate, whether you're asking between the product or the customer service element.
Okay.
And we would always say, ask for the product. If you sell a product, ask for the product review first. People get confused if you ask it the other way around. So ask for the product first and then ask for the brand. Make it more specific about what you're asking for. So if you can say, please, can you give a review for this product, or this is the service you received. But you can ask, I would generally ask for general comments first and then drill into more specific questions later. So for example, for an e-commerce business, for example, they might ask afterwards, how was the delivery? Or what about the service might make you want to shop here again, or all those kinds of things. Leave them to afterwards. Make it more general to begin with.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
And I would also keep it as simple as possible on the actual invitation email. So what we found to be most successful is literally have a yes or no question on the email. Are you happy to leave feedback? Yes or no. Most people would say yes, and then it will lead them to a feedback form. So once they've taken that baby step to open up the form, then become much more likely to want to respond and fill out the questionnaire.
Jane put something in chat in that she gets people saying all nice things, but they don't actually reorder. Is there any clever tips on how to get re-engagement up? Because there clearly isn't a problem with their product or service.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, it's there's plenty you can do. So for example, we work with a number of the email marketing platforms. So once somebody has bought a product, they will then be on their mailing list and receive targeted emails trying to get them to renew or rebuy. And so they can intersperse those emails with, or include in those emails, review content. So let's say it's for a pair of shoes. You could receive an email saying, have you bought this? People who buy this typically like these. And Yats from London says 5 stars, these are one of the best things I bought. So you can include review content in those emails to try and get people to re-engage. You can also do things like, depending on the type of business, we can set up things like community forums as well to just get people talking about the products. It could be you can take any of the content from the reviews as well, and you can use it for your website. So there might be areas of your website that you wanted to include that in. For example, if you're launching any new products and services as well, any kind of reviews that you get early on can help you fill out the content that you might want to include for that and help you retarget people, include more content on the website. So yeah, there's plenty of ways that you can do it. And again, if somebody has bought something from you, you could then, a few months down the line, even go back to them with another review question saying, what do you still think of it? Are you still interested? Just to kind of get that conversation going. And some of our clients will do that, not as a public review necessarily, but just as a way of going and asking them and understanding what do people still think several months down the line, and that can be a trigger to trying to re-engage them again.
You've given me lots of thoughts there about customer journey and email marketing and embedding that review throughout, rather than just, as you say, when somebody's signed the dotted line. I am actually going to put in my review link in the chat shortly, and I would very much appreciate a review. And also, I'm up for an awards, and if you haven't voted yet, because I've been banging on about it all week, please vote for me. I need to bring this trophy home to Essex.
I already voted for you, MS. You'll be pleased to hear.
I think I've banged on about it so much. I think everyone's voted, but I will put it in again. Jane said, "Thank you, great tips." Our pleasure.
Oh, well, I suppose the other thing you can use the reviews for there is people follow you on social media. So once people have, if you do have a social media presence, then you're free to use review content to share it to social media, which is a very good way to just kind of keep people thinking about your brand, and you can keep them aware of any developments, new products.
Brilliant.
All right, so what does good look like? So maybe it makes sense to just kind of share an example of what I'm thinking of. All right, so if I've this is just one I thought of earlier. Hero facial oil. Let's say my friends kind of recommended this to me. So I searched that, and I can see here different products that have cropped up, and they're pulling through the review stars into search. It's helping with SEO around PPC. You can even see star ratings, kind of increasing trust in the organic results. If I click on that, for example, okay, this is the product I'm interested in. So what do I do when I land on this page? I'm thinking, okay, well, it's not a business I know that well, but there's some good trust signals here. It's given me useful information about the products. It's kind of knocking down those objections about things that I would be looking for. Is it going to be right for me? Is it easy to use? What are some of the things in there? And then part of that mix is, what do other people think about it? Okay, so I can see they're a well-established business. This product's got a high rating. People are asking questions as well, making comments, and the brand's responding. So obviously they're a transparent business. They're trustworthy.
Love that.
And so, and to your point, Emma, as well, on the right-hand side there, you can see there's video reviews, there's instructional videos. So all of these things that they're going through in their mind of, is it trustworthy? Is it the right thing for me? What do other people think? You're kind of knocking them down one by one. And then normally what people do is go, well, okay, there's lots of 5 stars here, but go on. Although I want this product, I'm just going to look at a 1-star review. Okay, and what do they say? And this is where people kind of think, oh, well, the 1-star reviews will be bad for the process, but actually they're not, because this is a bit where I'm not going to leave the site to go and verify elsewhere, because it's giving me everything I need to know on the site. Okay, so people are saying, well, it wasn't the right thing for me, for my skin at the time, but you can see that the brand cares about them. They're giving recommendations, and you can see people have gone to, although this wasn't the right thing for them to buy, they've gone to use another product as well.
You touched on it earlier, yes, and responding to negative reviews super important, and the way that a business comes across when there has been a cock up, that can turn somebody into a re-engaged customer just by the way they've handled something that hasn't gone as well as they would have liked. I have a very quick question. So I saw some of those reviews roll. I've always been told that if a review is older than 3 months, people trust it less. Is that true? Or is that hearsay?
I think within 3 months you'd probably be okay. I typically would say it depends on the industry, but typically within 6 months is more powerful. And some businesses only will display the last 12 months.
Mm.
So if it's electronics or something, then they want it to be more recent. If it's holidays, they want it to be more recent. The recency does have some power for sure. So that's why it's important to just make it part of the process. You don't want to be collecting feedback in batches temporarily. You want to have a steady stream of feedback and automate that process. All right,
I'm loving this. It's so much value, yes, that you've made me think about reviews differently. And I thought I was all right on reviews, but this is absolutely fantastic because it's very practical and it's really shown me how to implement in my business and what good review strategy looks like.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
review.
there's lots of nuance to it, and that's one of the things is every time somebody gets in contact with us, is they sometimes kind of think reviews are a bit of a commodity, but actually there's a lot of layers to it and differences, and that's something that we do here every day, is just going to take people through what's the right thing for them. So as a next step, I'd say, what should you do? I'd say just kind of go back. And this might be something you do anyway, but to maybe think about it through the point of view of reviews, is just go and look at your buyer journey with fresh eyes, or get somebody that who doesn't know your industry that well to come and look at with fresh eyes. What do they see? What are they looking for? How would they kind of establish that they can trust your business? How are they getting the information that they need? And try and consciously think through, at what points might I lose somebody where a bit more trust signaling or something displaying the right kind of interesting and useful content to them at the right time might stop somebody leaving that customer journey. So definitely recommend doing that. And actually, after this, I've got a link I can share as well, which links through to some useful guides and things that you might want to look at. I'd say the second thing is around automating and then personalizing. So imagine an employee who would go off and they would conduct customer research for you, and they would do marketing work for you and post things to your website all the time. And depending on the industry you're in, could even go off and find data that you need for compliance for a regulator. Well, that's something that a reviews platform can do all in the background without you having to think about it. All you've got to do is set up a feed of customers going into the review platform, and it can be out there collecting fresh information about your customers. What do they like, dislike, things that can tee up your next marketing campaign, posting fresh content to your site, improving SEO for you. And like I say, we work with things like consumer finance businesses who have to present information back to the regulator on how they've listened to customers, how did they act on it. Well, something like FIFO can automate that process for you and build those reports for you, so you don't have to do that. And that's going to free up a lot more time, so you can actually offer that personalized service and come across in that kind of human connection, which is, for a small business particularly, that's one of the key areas that you can compete with the bigger businesses that they struggle to do. And then the final piece, I'd just say to just go for it. Just get started. Don't worry about being perfect. There was a study done a few years ago around adding reviews to products that had no reviews at all, and they did it with added purely 5 stars to a product, and one had 4.4 stars, and actually the 4.4 stars started to sell more than the 5 stars. So don't worry about that being perfect. It's more just about that transparency, starting to understand what's out there in terms of customer sentiment and feedback, and use it to make your business better and to get closer to your customers.
Sometimes I meet founders that don't have a product to go to market with yet. So just at Flexel in Stratford, and we've met a cohort today, and some of them aren't ready to go to market yet, but they've got a website and they need things to say on the website about how wonderful they are. And someone once said to me, if you don't have your final course or your product or your service completely finalized, ask for reviews about how it is to work with you as a person, and they can always be updated later. Do you think that's a good strategy?
Oh, definitely. So you've got the 2 elements there, which, like I said before, really, you want to keep them separate, the product reviews and the service reviews. You can collect both of those, and they can be used in different ways within the business. So for most of the businesses that we collect product reviews for, at the same time they're also collecting feedback about how what's the customer experience like, what do people think about the brand. And so if the product's not ready yet, you can always get feedback on how you are to work with, because it's never too early to start collecting that kind of feedback and building your brand anyway. It doesn't have to be, even if you're a product-based business, there's different ways that you would want to be using positive feedback about you as a brand. One of the things that we've started to see increasingly, actually, is reviews coming up in investor pitches. And it's one of the things that investors are asking for now. And so if you're a small business, I mean, you might not have plans to kind of exit the business at some point, but you might do. And you know, if you're building up that picture of you as a brand and that reputation, then it's never too early to start doing that.
I'm launching something else. Hush, hush. It will be revealed soon. But in my creds deck for investors, I've got a page full of reviews because nothing sells my product than other people saying it's wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and one of the things that we're about to release here is industry benchmarking. So we can already do it, but we're going to make it a lot more easy for people to do. So they can see, well, I'm in this industry, this is my rating, this is the industry average, and these are the common things that somebody would have to do to get from a 4.2 to a 4.6, for example. You know, what does a 4.6 business do that a 4.2 business doesn't do? And reviews is one of the kind of key sources where people can find that information.
Brilliant. Amazing. I don't know whether you've got any more slides, but I want to kind of open it up to everybody because I've found this fascinating and I'm sure we've all got questions. I know Luke is on it. Luke's got his review strategy down pat. Does anybody have any questions for Yaz, specific about their business? Feel free to pop into chat or take yourself off mute, whatever works for you.
I have a question, Yaz. You said about keeping people on your website. So how does it work with FIFO? Do they do the review and then it's like plugged into your website? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So the process works because we're invitation only. We do require customer data. So let's say a name and an email address of your customer, and then you send that to FIFO. So you might just upload a file, but it could be a feed of some kind, and we'd help you set that up. And then ready and waiting to go, you've already got within FIFO your invitation emails and the questionnaire forms ready to go. So as soon as you load up the names and email addresses of the customers, it will send out those invitations to leave feedback. And then the customer fills out the form, the feedback form, that comes back into FIFO, at which point you can read the reviews, you can respond to them, you can build reports on them, that kind of thing. But from a display perspective, within FIFO, it gives you all these options for different types of displays. So you might have like a revolving carousel style with a few different positive reviews. You might want a dedicated reviews page. It could be like a little slide out from the side of the screen. So you just simply select the style of display that you want. They're JavaScript widgets. And so you just add that little bit of JavaScript code to the site, and then that will call FIFO and pull in the relevant reviews based on the parameters you've set. So if you say, from a homepage, I just want a revolving carousel of 4 and 5 star reviews, then that's what it will show on your homepage. And you might say, okay, deeper in my site, we just want a dedicated reviews page, or I want a bit like I showed with the cosmetics company there. Maybe you're going to embed a dedicated reviews piece in there where I'm going to show everything, and that will simply call that from FIFO and display on that simple JavaScript widget.
Right. And do people, you said that the different providers, they have better, there's different things that people use it for. Would people use more than one and have more than one on their website, or would they go, okay, I'm just going to show FIFO, I'm just going to show Google, do they choose that, or can you have a mix?
Yeah, you can absolutely have a mix. So but other providers will have other kinds of typically JavaScript widgets as well. And sometimes you'll see the two side by side. You might see FIFO with TripAdvisor or FIFO with Trustpilot or Google reviews. Right. And it depends on the business. So if I'm a chain of car garages, for example, I might have FIFO on there who are doing a bit more of a kind of marketing, or who are handling the more of the kind of digital marketing side and trying to get digital traffic there. Or you might have Google there as well, who are kind of doing more of the local search thing. So it really depends on the type of business. For a travel business, they might have TripAdvisor as well, because they've got FIFO doing the more digital marketing side of it, but they might say, well, I mean, the hospitality industry, I can't not be on TripAdvisor. You know, that's just the go-to place for people to compare my business against others. So depending on the business you are, they might want to cover off both those elements.
Great, thank you.
Great question from Elle. How much is too much? How often should you be asking reviews? Is it 2, 3 times? Is there not a set amount? Because you don't want to be beggy, do you? But you want that review. Like I want that review and that vote.
Yeah, it's a great question. There's no exact science on it. So typically once a quarter probably is about the right frequency, and people people won't opt out from getting feedback if they're only going to get every 3 months a feedback request. Normally there's got to be a logical reason why you'd be asking for that feedback. So if you handle insurance, for example, if you've just made an insurance claim, it'd be quite normal to get a feedback invitation, and not just when you take out the policy in the first instance. So if it's logical, then people will understand, and they're very happy to receive an invitation. But I think as a rule of thumb, I'd probably say once every 3 months is fair enough. But I would say if you send out an invitation, then you're well within your rights to send a reminder as well. And very often the response rate does increase if you're sending a reminder as well. So you know, I'd go for that. There's different channels as well that you can use FIFO for. So you can send to mobile as well and try and get people to respond that way, covering off the different ways that people like to interact with things. Not everybody is email first. So if you have people who might use different channels, text or WhatsApp or whatever, you know, there's different areas that you can explore of collecting feedback.
I love this. I absolutely love this. Your details are going to be on the slides. So for anybody watching on the replay that wants to get in front of Yats and see how FIFO can work for their business, product, service, or personal brand, all of Yats' details are going to be on there. I found this absolutely fascinating, and you've really inspired me. Any more questions before we finish? Now's your chance.
I was just going to say as well, I can share the link on the screen now with you.
Yeah.
So just a simple questionnaire on how evolved is your customer insight strategy, and depending on whether your answer comes out as, you know, beginner, moderate, or advanced, there's different kind of guides and things that you can download for free to help you through that. But also, if anybody on the call, if you just want me to kind of jump on a call with you and look at how the things I've been talking about, you know, how does somebody come across your online reputation, and how are you using reviews today? I just want a little bit of kind of talk about it and see what I can find for you. I'm very happy to put together like a free review snapshot for your business and give a few pointers on there.
Amazing. Let me just pop your email into chat before we finish. Let me do that now. Should be good. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, biggest light bulb moment, Julia?
Me, I'm just writing down his email address just a minute. Well, I haven't started doing asking for reviews at all. So partly it's just start, but also that just really having a strategy for it rather than it being a bit ad hoc as well. And yeah, lots of it really, and also making sure that it's embedded so that people aren't going away. There was lots in there, and Luke does it a lot. Does a lot of review stuff, so I need to get on with the same as my husband and actually ask people. So that's great.
That was brilliant. Yes, I know that I'm going to be asking you for another guest talk very, very shortly. Thank you so much for spending the time with us and just sharing your wisdom so freely and generously. Really, really, really appreciate it. And any final thoughts that you want to leave, yes, before I press stop recording?
No, other than don't worry about not being perfect. Just go for it.
Let's go for it. JFDI. Thank you so much, everybody, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.